Please rise. Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah, my protector.
Allah, my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through His holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
You want to close the thing? To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting ones. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is the instruction from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet, and ridicule them to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Any you want to put out the announcements before we go?
What?
Stuff coming up.
We have a barbecue next week in Morningside Park, 12 to 5.
You can leave out August. You can leave out August stuff. Just
We have the play, Morse Culture presents a play day for the Morse History School. That'll be at Sunnybrook Park. You said it was lot 6.
yeah, parking lot 6. Yeah.
Parking lot 6, adjacent to parking lot 6. It'll be a day for the young ones to get out there. We've got a series of games planned for them. So it'll be a training session in the morning from 10 to 12, a lunch, and then the games from 12:30, quarter to 1 to 3 o'clock. So that's what we got for the next couple of weeks. And then we've got a bunch of 2 other events in August, but we'll let you know about those as we get closer to the dates. So Morningside Park next week, Saturday, 10, 12 p.m. Sunday, I guess we'll be back here again.
Yeah, Sunday we'll be here
So
probably.
there'll be another sign-up sheet being given out for that. That's it.
Islam. Have any questions before we start up? So, we have few hours behind us now with the Moors near Rhode Island that where's that? The Moors near Rhode Island that that got the highway shut down allegedly. So allegedly some Moors got the I95 highway shut down yesterday, pretty much all day. And there's a couple articles about it. I'll just read a couple of those. There's a couple news reports on it. And you could put your, whatever, if you have thoughts or anything like that, you could put those out. And we'll go from there. So this one is WCVB number 5. And it's a ABC, I guess, secondary station or whatever.
Arrested on the highway behind me. We were trying. As soon as it was confirmed that the 11 men were arrested on the highway behind me, we were trying to find more information about them, but they were already getting out their side of the story.
They specified in the news that we're anti-government, but we're not government. We're not anti-police. We're not sovereign citizens. We're not black identity extremists.
This YouTube video was made before the 11 members of the Rhode Island group were finally arrested. But who are they and where do they come from? The rise of the Moors group claimed to be based out of this building in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. A closer look at their mission statement says they want, quote, to encourage all Moorish Americans to believe in the capacity of each other to succeed in business, to encourage, support, and provide patronage in our affairs. After the arrest, 2 members of the group were taken to Leahy Hospital for what police say were for previous medical conditions, but did not elaborate. Still, why group standing on the highway early this morning with long guns and other weapons, with no idea they were breaking state gun laws.
The police seen us on the side of the road with our guns secured. We were afraid, so we got out with our arms.
They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be a variety of, not demands, but requests that they just be allowed to leave the area, transit the area without any accountability. And at the end of the day, we couldn't accommodate that.
Prosecutors say the FBI is now part of this investigation. And by the time these men are arraigned Tuesday morning, we will likely know much more about this group and why they were headed to Maine for training. Reporting live in Stoneham, I'm Ted Wayman, WCBB, News Center 5.
So we just open the floor. We just open the floor. Huh?
Where did you say it rained?
Arraigned.
Oh.
Yeah. Tuesday morning, probably because it's a long weekend. So yeah, so they're doing the extra day. As long weekend. But yeah, we'll just open up the floor if anybody has anything to share thus far.
Like they got taken because of the guns, right? So I know probably tomorrow he's a Marine, so he's probably allowed to keep his weapon, but it the licensing part and the buying part of the weapon, right? You have to buy it from them.
Well, for example, near Rhode Island, you can show whatever and buy. Texas, you can show whatever and buy. Certain places,
Buy it from them.
yeah, like a store.
Right.
Yeah.
So those things are registered to them. So that's what I'm saying. They bring them into the jurisdiction of the contract, the contract part of it.
Well, it depends because you're not. It's not like they're doing it through the license. They're doing it through just like if you want to go buy a TV. You can go point it out on the wall. They want that one.
Yeah.
And it's yours, but it's because of the constitutional right that people have to do that. Why they could do that before even the licenses and whatever.
Stay with the gun part, because I'm not gun owner, right? And if I'm going to the range, I have to notify OPP, police, that this range you're going to, what vehicle you're in, where you're going, from point A to point B.
Right.
They gotta know that for
Right.
public safety.
Because they're regulating it, not really because public safety really.
No, I'm just saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but that's how they're
Where you
presented.
get the gun from, because
Yeah.
if you get the gun from a corporation setting, that's what they probably studied to say, we're gonna catch them here and at this point, we might not be able to hold them over there, but when they reach this point, then we can, obviously somebody informing them to say that.
Exactly. That's what everything comes down to. That's what everything comes down to.
So you're saying they were informed on?
Huh?
You're saying they were informed on?
Had to be.
It
had to be.
Do that during the stuff and
There's
queue
no-
up.
Well, how would they know that they were there though?
Because they've been had issues with quote unquote law enforcement from the perspective of right now they have court situations that's been going on for a year that just keep getting adjourned.
No,
So
but that's standard operating code. That's standard operating. That's SOP. What I'm saying to you is, from what I understood, I thought that they broke down on the side of the road.
No, they were just putting gas. They were just refueling.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so what are the chances? What if they have a full tank of gas?
But this is what we're saying. If you know you're going wherever, you would probably have a full tank of gas. More likely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what? And where you're going isn't 800 million miles away. You're going right over there. An hour, 2 hours. Place where they've been before and never even got stopped or whatever, and had issues.
So you're saying this is something new right now?
That's why we'll use Neil Morton psychological warfare book to show that it's not just them some guys on the highway, and this is, like we were saying yesterday, this is long weekend, and they shut place down for 10 hours on a long weekend because of some Moors on the highway that there was one of those SWAT armored whatever on the other side of the highway, just parked up there. What are they waiting for? 11 hours? Just parked up there, waiting. Got all the trucks, got every department, got the dump trucks to block the highway and all that.
They knew they were going to pass there, so they planned it.
Right?
Well, they asked the officer for a couple of cars, right?
Yeah.
And didn't get it. And instead of establishing that, was even called that. Remember, we talked about this before too, just from my perspective, when I was like, this came to me just now, what Nature would say. Back in the day, he used to be on the hunt to exercise his constitutional rights.
Mm-hmm.
But since the whole thing with due process, he's realized that that's not the object of this.
Yeah.
And to me, getting the conveyance with long guns and all kinds of
But
nonsense.
it's not that.
You can keep saying what you're saying, but I'm just saying that. But that's in my mind. Wait, hold on. But you're crossing state lines. You should know hopefully what's going on in that next state. If you're crossing state lines with arms.
No, for sure. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying they're going from A to B. B is the range. A is their house.
Well, that's
why?
You're going through a different state. Hold on. A to B is where you're going. But that's in a different state, and that state doesn't allow you to carry guns out in the open like that. And yet you're carrying. That's part of your responsibility as an FA guy to know where you're going and what you're doing about it. So I'm just saying, there's certain things that seem kind of funny.
This is why we're talking about that. It's psychological warfare. It has nothing to do with who was out there, news, police, reports. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Think about exactly what you're saying. Now they're tying us in with guns.
But it's not tying us in because Nobujuali had tanks. So you can't.
Come on, brother. He had tanks, but brother, he had tanks.
There was National Guard. There was National Guard at the Moorish Science Temple Convention.
Exactly.
If there's National Guard at the Moorish Science Temple Convention,
Right.
This is not about guns. It's psychological warfare.
This is, of course, well, from the perspective that I'm seeing, what they're stopping them are these guns, right?
But that's psychological warfare. It's not because of the guns.
You didn't stop them because they already stopped. So I'm about to say
It's not because of the guns.
Huh?
It's not because of the guns. Something else is going on.
Well, fair enough. So
They're trying to send a message.
Yeah, it's a message. Yeah.
And they're trying to get people that are compliant. So that's it of where they're coming from, right?
So at the same article at the end, they were talking about that guy from the week before, that same Moorish guy that took the house or whatever, trying to do the adverse possession.
Yeah.
That's why they put him in the same article at the end.
Yeah.
Trying to get more.
Yeah, but they were really careful how they talked about it. If you're watching the news,
Yeah. You can listen to
what they're saying.
Yeah.
And what they're gonna do. So you can see that they're trying to send a message to unconscious Moors to me. Like they're not really, nothing's gonna really happen. It's just you're gonna probably get them on the fact that they didn't have the license with them at the time to present to them.
Yeah.
And all this gonna crack, right? But it's clear that this is somebody like tip them off, like these guys will be going over here to train and blah blah blah. And they just set it up.
Something tipped them off.
Yeah, and they make a story, they want to make their thing out of it.
Yeah,
So
they're
love it in the man body camera and
right, and had their camera, they were going live,
So, yeah,
you know what I
so
mean?
it don't make any sense.
Exactly.
Before.
You know, even on that level.
Yeah, they're trying to make up a story to make it look like they're terrorists.
Which
all I see is a very good exposure for the more.
Yeah.
Whatever way you want to look at it,
Yeah.
that's how I see it.
any
It's
publicity,
like your brother side, he didn't even see it.
any
And he
publicity.
got it.
Yeah.
So you know how many people get it?
Exactly.
It's still exposed, so that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Of course.
And it's not those 11 men are not on trial, it's just a law now. You're gonna have to figure out how this law is gonna work with us and them, because your mom said it. It's our nation against your nation with the treaty. So now that's exposed on CNN. So a
Exactly.
lot of people see this now, so it's a big exposure. So
Exactly.
regardless of what it is,
Our whole
It's still
family,
good.
it doesn't matter.
they're
Doesn't
still,
matter how
they're
it
still
happens.
exposed, you know?
It's gotta be done from someone actually.
So we're gonna say bad publicity is good publicity?
Eh?
Asking about us.
Hold on. Say
I
it.
got a DM actually from someone from Morocco.
the kingdom into regards to the Moorish Americans. So I sent her 2 documents. I sent her the treaty, and I sent her George Washington's letter. And I said, and I even sent a highlighted card to give us commerce in your dominions, which is telling you this is your land, this is our land. I understand, I don't understand. No. I'm always not gonna look at you. That's the way I'm getting out of this guy right now. I'll feel like 1,000, bro. Okay, I'll feel you 1,000. Okay. Second Amendment right. State, what's the law of the land? Constitution?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and the chief's proceeding. Stop the BS. Simple. This is just another reason for them to come up with some other reason to continue this COVID, this all distractions.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep the people asleep.
Anything to keep you asleep.
Now you people getting, I couldn't go shoot my fireworks, eat my barbecue. So they just stop man's trying to, go out there and their rights, that's it, and then they infringe on their rights. And
But not even. Think about even how many people on top of them are passing with arms.
Yeah, exactly.
You tell me they're the only ones? They're the only ones that were passing and had stuff in their thing? Just them? Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry.
No worries.
So a couple of things. So from what I understand, what I saw on the news, right? So the people that engage with the Moors, right? They had arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the same type of arms that they said the Moors had, they had.
Probably
So,
better and more advanced.
So to me, it's not an issue of that. Security guards have arms. Policy enforcers have arms. Federal have arms. Like that's not an issue. And second thing is, so I don't understand this right now. So you're telling me a group of people can stop the next group of people, but that same group of people can't stop the next group of people? Like, isn't this clear cut as to what's going on here in America? And I deal with that.
Right, psychological warfare. Some strategies that mass media employs. Distraction. In 2014, Russia moved its military forces into the Crimea. There followed a series of events that would lead to alarm in the US and suggest a return to the Cold War era. The referendum held the following annexation and imposing of sanctions could cause a panic in the US, which certain agencies were eager to avoid. This story was superseded by the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 and the mudslide in Washington State in the US. Classic distraction tactics used to keep the nation successfully focused on other matters. Acts of nature provide the media with certain elements of news. The number of deaths, potential miracles, and grieving relatives filled hours of news coverage. Gradualism. This is a method that manipulates the public to accept socially unjust actions or events by conditioning them to the news gradually. For instance, if the government was going to close down a certain institution that would lead to layoffs, it would begin a gradual campaign against the institution. This would consist of negative media stories about mismanagement, losses, drops in sales, and poor stock market figures. This prepares the public to accept the big news without tumult. Scripting and omissions. Most people think of Time magazine as a hard-hitting, truthful publication that can be trusted to give the people hard facts. It is highly regarded as one of the more relevant publications in the US and has a large readership. While these facts may be a version of the truth, in reality, some may perceive that Time magazine sanitizes its covers for US consumption. It is a standard for print magazines to have different covers to appeal to the target audiences in different parts of the world. Time magazine has a US cover, one cover to appeal to Europe and Africa, while the remaining two covers are aimed at Asia and the South Pacific. During the Obama years, Time chose to publish a cover depicting Vladimir Putin and his thoughts on the weak state of the US and the strength of the Russian Union. Russia and the US have had a rivalry for years, so it is not surprising that he would call the US weak and Russia strong. The heading was about Syria in Washington and defense in Damascus. In fact, the gist of the headline was the only part of the cover to make the US version, while the other three covers shows the Russian leader. The US cover asked the question, "Is it time to pay college athletes?" And the headline became, "What Putin Wants and Syria Instead Inside the DC War." Treating the public like children. Unbalanced news reporting that seeks to rile up base instincts of fear or dumb down serious issues is a sure sign that some media organizations are determined to keep us under a blanket of ignorance. If biased media owners allowed us to see the cold hard facts, they run the risk of nurturing a generation of free-thinking individuals that are capable of critical thinking. They need us to be submissive, open to manipulation, and incapable of critical decisions that would challenge their power and wealth. So, like what we're saying, that if we're speaking from the perspective of constitutional right, then we're speaking from the perspective of having a more ancient mindset. And if we have an ancient mindset, we already know that there's no lines for any states or anything like that. We all know that this is Morocco.
Sorry, on the
And
I95, it said that they were in Morocco.
Yeah.
Jamal said that.
And if we're in Morocco, and it's a fact that we're in Morocco, then it has to be somebody who is an occupier or a colonizer of Morocco to make claims of states and different things that give them the authoritative power, because they successfully made the public think like children. The plan worked to perfection. These people aren't even mad that they got held up on the highway for 11 hours. They're watching the news. They're part of the movie and they don't even know. And there was a couple other
I want to see a future where we don't have to talk about racial inequity.
It's the kind of change that's not going to happen overnight.
The Rise of the Moors is a group that actually the Southern Poverty Law Center only designated as an extremist group last year in 2020. The group is an anti-government sovereign group. They don't accept the authority of the United States. They don't pay taxes. They don't agree to comply with the laws. And so they don't feel it's necessary to, for example, have a driver's license or a gun license from the US government.
Now, as you heard Ted say earlier, the group says they were traveling from Rhode Island to Maine for training. The president and CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center says, while we do not know what this particular training was about, in the past, the group Rise of the Moors has held trainings on use of weapons and other preparation for warfare or fighting.
No. Training happens all the time by all different types of people, all around U.S, all around Canada. Always. There's always people who have quote unquote weapons, guns, arms, whatever you want to call it, and they go practice because they have those things. Just like guy with the baseball bat is gonna go on the field and hit balls because it's training, it's practicing. How they're making it seem is as if these guys have a manifesto and they shut the highway down because they want to state some claims that no one is hearing their claims, so they're doing this so they can be able to get themselves heard when they're going camping. How some people going camping on the news all day with the highway shut down. And people talking about, oh, well, SPLC said that they are whatever like that. SPLC is a criminal organization. Like there's congressional records of SPLC getting called criminal. And they practice yellow journalism. And all they do is trump up stories on people who are free thinkers. And that's what they do. That's their pattern. Southern Poverty Law Center. People know that they're criminal. And using them in these situations involving Moors is the psychological warfare, so that the Negro, black, colored, and whoever else is watching this is gonna equate Moors with this is what happens if you're a Moor, when that's not the case, because that's the first Moors that we've seen arrested or something like that, or some big thing in ever. Matter of fact, the last time there was probably something in the news was probably them. Again. It was probably them again. Right.
One thing I know, watching the news, they only show 2 Moors getting arrested underneath. They didn't show the 11 Moors getting arrested.
Yeah.
So that was kind of something significant. Like, if they're really gonna say that whatever they're arresting them for, they should have shown all of them, right?
If it's like that.
If they're a black, for sure they would show all of them. This is what the vehicles look like, this is what they're doing. Right?
Yeah.
10 minutes to be on the man's neck, so 11 hours says something.
Yeah, and that too.
These things ain't not like the other.
That too. Yeah. How is this not better? Yeah. Oh, this is not
What
better.
do you mean, OJ, just
Not the wrong organization. Not the wrong one.
be watching this for hours, like what?
Yeah. And like what Nora was saying, that it's publicity. Can flag out there, you know, all these articles talking about Moorish this and Moorish that and bays and L's, and I didn't hear anything about black guys. I didn't hear anything about African from Spain and none of that stuff. You hear none of that. All I'm hearing is Constitution, treaty, and do with what this should be about.
And they only said it because Jamal said it
Before them. And then
they couldn't deny it now.
Yep. And then them saying it before them even is part of the whole creating our own narrative. So it's not just their side talking.
Now you gotta rebut that.
Yeah. Right? Now you have to rebut all of this conversation. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, we heard that this is true, so why are you telling them to shelter themselves? Or what?
Yeah. Even Juju had messaged me that their email is full of emails from all these Europeans talking about, he wasn't wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. Stay strong.
European.
The European.
Yeah.
Ample amounts of them, not one or two. Right? Before they took it off before they took it off the Rise of the Moors, it was that when I downloaded it, it was at 141,000 and 50,000 comments or something like that. 50,000 comments, 140,000 views. The thing's been up 2 hours or something like that, right? And again, it's because that thing with that whole idea of the right to bear arms and the sovereign citizen thing, and then Noble Drew Ali with the truth and falsehood strangely mixed, and then these things mix, and now you have all the trolls with their, see, we told you guys that whatever, the Moors shouldn't, when Moors are on CNN right now. What are you talking about? CNN? CNN? International has the Moroccan flag just out there, and Moors are complaining about something?
Rule of list now.
Now, shouldn't that be a sign to certain people that, hey, maybe we should probably hear what these Moors are saying? If they could get to CNN.
That wouldn't have happened if this incident didn't happen.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been on CNN.
Yes.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, never.
That's what I said. What I said before.
You're right. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the woman that was the woman there, she looked like fear of loss. She had a thing on her face like you're afraid to lose the power. You want to give it up.
Yeah.
So you could see that. You could see that they're thinking, oh my God, this is exposed, and we don't want to lose the power.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta squash this, but in them squashing it, they pretty much exposed it. They exposed the Moorish flag, and it's like they didn't know where to go with the conversation. They just had to talk.
That's what it is. It has to be like that. Because we don't even be them, but we're using their media.
Yeah.
We go up and ask them to come on the media, they won't let us do. We're gonna charge with some arms and we go get on the media.
Yeah.
So,
And the whole thing with them being put out there and people's perception is only on the arms and they're not checking anything else that's going on. Mm-hmm. They're not checking that the chief of police or whatever.
Even them talking about the Constitution.
Yeah. Just that as conversation.
Checking that part of the conversation.
Yeah. Right. Chief of police or whoever his name's Mason or whatever. Like why is the guy named Mason on the thing? Why does his name have to be Mason? How come his name's not Phillips or Frank or something like
Why
that?
that one come?
Of all names for this guy to have in this instance, right? With 11 Moors,
First was 9.
And then first was 9, right? And then 9/11, and then
11 hours.
And Mayor Hurricane Elsa footage cut and splicing.
Yeah.
What was the? Oh, we're in danger now. Buckle down.
What was the mile spot they stopped him at? 57.
57 or something. Yeah. Crazy.
11, 9 could have been 12, but it's right.
It is yellow general.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to catch themselves now because once it's been exposed, what did you say? It was on both sides?
Yeah.
Flags there now. You can't get out of this now.
You're on business control.
The thing is, just
Yeah.
it's what the media are putting out, the names that they're putting, they're giving it, right? They're calling them black militia groups. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
certain places are calling.
Yeah, certain places are doing that too. That's another sign of it.
The
Yeah,
different outlets are saying
Yeah.
different things.
because they already know people don't know the difference between Bay and whatever like that, so they'll call it a black militia guy, and then have his name in there, and then nobody's like, well, why are you calling him black if he's Bay? And then Moors don't say that they're black.
No.
Obviously, this is a psyop. Obviously, because if you're gonna put Bay in the article and say some black militia people, they're playing the games with you. They're playing games.
Sorry, did you see what they have some analyst, specialist guy on that channel?
Who the
And Davis.
Oh no, I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah, Boston.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that one.
Okay. He was on there and he made a speculation, and he had a heated speculation. Then I guess he was vexed. He come on and said, no, I went on their website, blah, blah, blah. Just went on their website, but it was removed or whatever. And I saw the videos and blah, 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 and he's doing this and this. The man said that they're training terrorists.
No.
And I'm like, yo, what video? What are you talking about? And when they say, oh, they don't something our laws, what laws are people talking about?
Yeah.
What is
Our
laws?
laws. Name a law, please.
What laws? Company policy laws? What's our laws at CBC or CB, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Laws. What laws? What's these our laws? So there is a difference.
Policy, right?
So you say ours, and there must be something else, no?
Okay.
What's that? Something else?
Mm-hmm.
When the woman was speaking, she like she's scared of losing something, like our stuff.
Yeah.
July
What is
4th,
that? What is that? What is
July
that?
or July 4th now. So it's their thing that they're doing.
What is
The
that?
Dolly House.
What
It's a Dolly House.
What is
You know,
that?
much of the Dolly
What
House
is that?
come here with your constitution. We're gonna have to go all the way down to
I already there.
You don't wanna go back to the,
I didn't beg for that treaty so much. Look at it.
So they're in the treaty, they're like, they don't know what this is.
They don't know what it is.
Talking about.
Where did that come from?
And our laws come from
That's
that.
not true. What's the next step? You have to ask them for a cease and desist first.
They don't know who the trinkets.
If you say something that's untrue,
Yeah.
does someone have to say cease and desist before you get sued? Or can you just sue them for a mistake?
So we sue them, but you know, most people do not think they
That's
Which
what
I
I
presume they've been notified.
They should be notified of that. Yeah,
What?
that was
The
incorrect.
definition of character, right?
Well, that's just incorrect.
Yeah,
And
And
everything.
some legislations call them black militias, so that denationalization, so it's kind of a little bit.
Because it's not like you were dealing with You were dealing with,
That's kidnapping, having a team.
I would like to know what makes Ed Davis a specialist. He's paid for it, forget. No, they gave him a title, security specialist.
Mm.
What security?
Yeah,
For the news.
for the news. Yeah, for the news.
What do you mean?
He's a security specialist for the news.
What was going on?
In that with media, they prefer a person from security to talk about security issues. Media,
Like PR stuff.
You watch like
Yeah, it's like a PR thing. But you're not gonna have the regular reporter
The regular reporter
talking about you know what I mean? They got long guns out there and all that stuff. They're gonna use
Everyone had long guns.
their guy. Yeah,
So,
but
okay.
yeah.
So
So it's like say we're gonna send a Moorish to
Wait.
go out there and talk to the public. You would have a Moorish person speak.
Trying to make sense of
No. I just, because I got children, right? So I just, for the record, right? So the Aboriginal people of the land had allegedly long guns, rifles, or whatever.
Yeah.
Handgun. And then the colonizer people, forces, had long guns, handguns, yeah. Okay, so what's the problem? There was no problem until one man engaged with the next people.
You're outside.
The stoplights didn't have no problem with nobody. The road didn't have no problem. The trees didn't have no problem with nobody. No one had no problem with nobody until my man had a problem with people. So isn't that the bottom of it? People are jumping right to this gun stuff. No.
Yeah.
The engagement was not the guns. The guns, hey, I'm over here. Yeah, me too. Oh, but you're not like me. No.
Yeah.
This is people we're talking about. No.
Yep.
But the moral of the whole story is to deter us from waking up other people. So when they show this gun thing, the unconscious people will be scared. This is what I'm gonna go into. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be scared.
No, people that's not awakening. Not that
I don't think that's the effect that happened because.
Because now that only will make them know say you can go.
Yeah.
Be more and you have rights to arms too. That only was other things. Other things.
And we're not the only ones, yeah.
Good.
Other people.
You don't need no license permission.
Yeah.
Remember, our thing is lifting up everything and turning it over now. This is not just the militia. This is militia coming with the full law, the whole of the law.
Yeah.
Which they're exercising power.
I'm sorry, but you are expected to exercise your rights. If you don't exercise them, you don't have them. It's our duty and responsibility, even the rights you don't like. If I had a right to eat cookies and I don't like cookies, I should keep eating cookies at least once a week or something, just to keep that right going.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't exercise anything incorrect. Someone had a problem with them exercising their
All right.
legal rights.
Simple.
This is what I'm saying.
Simple.
Some people had an issue
Sure.
with them exercising their
and
rights.
this one
Right.
I don't know who. I'm just saying some group of
Somebody,
people did.
yeah, somebody.
So they've been doing this thing a while.
That's the issue.
So
That's the issue.
right now, CIA is gonna be involved.
That's another group.
So they've been going in trying to stop it. I think they should be trying to stop
Stop them from what? Going
it.
camping?
From being Moorish militia.
But there's other people who are militia.
Other people
That-
are militia right
You
here.
know what I mean?
But let's see what
There's like Vanguard militia, Hillback
Right.
Village militia,
Yeah.
back of country militia.
check it out. This is what I know.
Yeah.
This is what I know about the militia. Even the people that work hard and train and do everything, all the people that are fit, if they are at war, the colonists, so-called colonists, if they are at war and the soldiers were dying off, you will still call the people to use them. And these people signed up. All the security companies signed up to Canadian Army to say, all right, if there's a war, we can send security guards there. People that go to the gym, people that are malicious, they agree to this. You know what I'm saying? So these are insights.
You sign on to something, but at the end of the day, when that
No.
happens, you and you self is there, yeah? So
So
you
what I'm
say,
saying
you know
is-
what, I signed on to this, but this doesn't sit right in my heart, and I am not.
Don't miss it. So,
No, I don't get it then. What do you mean?
yes, sir, get it, just get it. We're under occupation, yes or no?
Yes, correct.
So we're waking up now, we could go form any kind of militia. We could say we're gonna be the transit militias. We're gonna own buses, right?
Okay.
So where are we gonna buy these buses from? And who?
You can make your own.
And then you're gonna train to drive the buses now. So now we start having our bus drivers drive from Brampton to Scarborough, and then the buses are stopped. And they're gonna say, but we have other bus companies out there, how come they don't stop them?
Okay, sorry.
Remember, we're Moorish government.
Right, but who's your people you're governing?
The Moorish government, you're governing the Moorish, your people.
So they're not complaining that you're picking them up in a bus.
No. I'm saying, where do you get the buses from?
You can buy a bus, you can purchase a bus, you
From who?
can make a.
Yeah, whoever it is, but it doesn't have to come from them.
Right, I know that. So we're gonna register the bus company here, obviously, right?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
yeah,
So when you're moving the fleet of buses, you can have a depot that the buses park, yes or no?
yeah.
Because this was, I'm just relating up, that where Jamali was going with his training camp, yes or no? He was going there from where his government is to where he trains. He did it before, he done it before. Because
And there was no issue.
And there was no issue.
But you guys said we're doing this training, yep, no problem, go ahead.
Remember, because I follow them. They went to his house before, and they are following with them, and blah, blah. So they've been watching him.
Right.
It's a setup, I know it's a setup.
Okay.
So we've been watching them, and it's a setup, right? So somebody obviously take them out that today they're going. Today they're going, and this is where they're going, and this is the time they're going, and blah, blah. Because there's one cruiser behind him, only one cruiser behind him, following him all the time. And when they did stop, this is when the guy turned the lights on, right? What I'm saying is, we're under occupation, and somebody's trying to stop us from exercising, which is the colonists. And they're fighting hard to stop
I
us.
agree with that, but it's our duty to exercise our rights.
But we are exercising.
Okay.
Okay, I exercised my rights with Census Canada yesterday. I didn't sign the thing, and I waited for them to come to my house. And I spoke to the lady. I ended up giving her RVB publication, giving her some stuff, and I told her, okay, I registered the Curtis I put it on to do business with you guys with that straw. So put that on there. But I told her we talked, and I have no problem with this corporation business, but obviously I still have to be able to survive.
Right.
But I had a conversation with them. That's exercising my rights from where I can exercise it at the time when they confront me. You know what I mean? Eventually, you have to face these people eventually to exercise, but it's not all of us doing it, but you gotta do your point, right? But everything that we do, we have to realize, okay, we still don't have a body of people together all at once. If there was 22 people out there, maybe things would have been different. Maybe if there was 100 more out there with guns, things would have been different, right? Who knows?
But based on what we have, we know that there's something else going on.
Yeah, they're trying to stop it.
There's something else going on.
That thing is going on, but they can't stop it now. It's too late. Because the world knows now.
Yeah, but I mean, even pre this, it's not like, because we were even talking about how 2018 when somebody snitched on them when they were at the temple with the arms. Yeah, and then the highwayman came and they had a conversation and there was no big deal.
Right, I watched that one.
You know what I mean? So that's the same police as these people yesterday. It's the same department, the same job.
That's it. They don't know who they are.
Now they don't know who they are.
Oh yeah, we're aware of them. We're familiar.
You know what I mean?
That's like I don't get like you don't know.
Well, who controls them?
The state, go.
There's an agenda. Who controls the gun?
They're in the courtroom. I'm just mad. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of this stuff.
Yeah,
But like what Kiba's saying, that it's no different than any other right that you have. The whole thing why the 11 hours, for example, was for that exact same thing, that we have a right. So we're not saying we're going to do something or we have an agenda or anything like that. All we're saying is we have the right.
like everyone else.
Just like everybody else has the right. But recognize that us having a right and everybody else having a right is two different having of rights, because we're Moorish American. We have treaties with you people. We're not Negroes and blacks and whatever else, So the interaction supposed to be based in Constitution and treaty. And that's it. There's no state anything that's supposed to be talked about. Right? That's not the law in this situation. That's not the law. And because we recognize what the supreme law of the land is and know that it's not the state codes, ordinances, and whatever else that they're going to use, automatically it's supposed to be an issue of diversity. Because they themselves know that, we take an oath to the Constitution, but we murder people on the street. Well, these Moors know that too. That's why they have their arms and all that stuff. Because there's been a pattern of people who look like Moors getting choked out. And they're going to get their knee on their neck for 2 minutes. And people doing illegal chokehold. And shooting people in the back running. And whatever else happens to people who look like those Moors who were on the TV. Stuff happens to them. So they have a militia and they go train because stuff happens to people who look like them. Stuff happens to them. And their mindset is, we're going to go train. Like, what's the issue? There's people who, they're going to go train to kill deer. Nobody cares. You're not worried.
Right.
You know what I mean? People aren't going to go train to go murder people.
All those people that responded, quote, quote, right, were trained at some point, yeah?
Everybody had to do some type of training.
So, I don't get it. You're mad because they ran up against trained people?
Yeah.
They just bullies them.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they can't really bully. That's why they're out there for 11 hours. Because what do we do? What do we do? We thought these were some black guys. We got rounded up, back up upon back up upon back up upon back up.
Shutting down the highway.
Shut down the highway. Both directions. Shut down the highway. Yo, shut down the highway both directions for 11 Moors. 11 Moors going camping. And this is some serious stuff going on?
On my estate. On my estate.
Yeah, going camping on their own estate.
You won't call it. My ancestors' estate.
And they know that.
Going camping on their own
You want to
estate.
call it. I know it's my ancestors' estate. It's navigating my way into the other side to go do what I have to do.
Whatever.
Simple.
There's no agendas or any motives or anything like that. We're just go, you know what I mean? That's like we're going to park across the street and they're shutting down Eglinton. And they have us standing in front of the temple and everybody's out there and they can't hear nothing and they're just seeing Eglinton shut down and they're thinking they're trying to stop the Moors from something. This has to do with the Moors. They're trying, we have nothing to do with this. We're just standing here.
Only thing I can see, the good thing about technology is that they can't lie and say.
Oh, that's the greatest part. That's the greatest
He was
part.
there alive saying it.
If he was alive,
Anti-government, we're not sovereign citizens.
if he was alive, if he was alive,
the story they would have told would have been really different, for sure.
But as they're speaking, as they're looking through different scripts, different psyops and pictures,
yeah.
they're like, oh, we can't do this one.
Can't use that one. Yep.
They're seeing the videos that they posted.
They're seeing the video.
That's what I'm saying. Pressure plus fight. You know, the lobby and plus the exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys saw stuff on social media, this, and as soon as looking for questions, no, like totally went this way, like, I don't know, I don't know about them, but I know about them.
We know about them.
I can't say, I'll let them talk about them.
We know that we don't know about them. Yeah.
It's like we weren't in their fences at the time, they had fatigue on, and somebody else.
Yeah.
They were about their name.
Yeah. Even that's a perspective too. What if they were fezzes on and all that stuff? If they were fezzed up,
right?
Yeah. If same thing, just the fatigues, but instead of they have fez up, black fez or whatever. Right? How would it be different? Would it be the same? Would it be 11 hours still?
Or if you're turbaned up, or fez and turbaned.
But then probably not, because you have to be one of those Omar Moors and this Moor have the plastic because it was raining too.
You're training. Goes back to vest. And I'm not trying to misspeak. I'm not trying to be insensitive to anyone's going through this. Peace and love for family, right? But if they went for training, they got traded because they went. This is real life.
Yeah, the real thing was the training.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether they were ready or not, they went.
That was it. Yeah, that was the training. Yeah.
And they're only coming out stronger after that. So herbs again.
Yeah.
Right? They could have been like, yo, okay, you're doing this next, and then you're gonna do this next, and boom. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It was kind of when you're watching it unfold and seeing the spin that the media is doing, it's the same thing they do. It's the same thing they do for anything. Right? They put you in a group, they switch up the narrative, they try to redo the story, but the story was already out.
Yeah. So and again, that same thing that you said also goes with all the trolling people and the people who are trying to make it seem as it's something else. Too late.
Yeah, like 3 hours too late.
Yeah, like Moors were alive. Moors weren't dumb.
Yeah.
Moors were alive knowing that we've already had interaction with these people. We already know how these people get down. Worse come to worse, at least we have arms right now. But other than that, we're gonna go live and make sure our story is told, because there's no way they're shutting down the highway for us because we're going camping. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what's going on.
Let's
But what do you mean you're
show what's
shut?
going on.
What is going on? 1 a.m. The hell are we doing out here at 1 a.m.?
11 hours.
11 hours.
You're on there, you can't get off, you can't exit. You're still going on your trip for the weekend. Oh, boy. And then they try to make it like, oh yeah, I don't know what these guys are doing, like, okay, let me do a little translation. If it was Ford talking about that, they're like, I don't know what these yahoos were doing. And like, they know everyone's going away and they're inconveniencing everybody. And I don't know what they're doing. Something like that they were trying to spit.
Yeah.
Like, you see the restaurant guy? Where the restaurant guy.
Oh yeah, the bar. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they give him that big bill
Yeah.
because they'll send 1,000
Yeah.
health inspectors
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Watch. Something like that, they're gonna say, yeah, this is what it costs for that.
Mhm.
That's like, yo, we're going camping.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. If people don't see what's really going on,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what else they need to see. Because it's obviously different strokes for different folks, if you can say it like
Yeah.
that. One group can do this, and the other group that's doing the same thing gets stopped by that group that's doing the same thing. Who stops those guys?
Nobody can.
Well,
They gotta apply.
serious.
Yeah, they gotta apply. They
Alright.
gotta apply because
So people, okay,
Yeah, type of
no problem.
immunity.
So people.
yeah, they have
can see
immunity.
that.
Let's say it. They have a certain immunity. Yeah. They have a certain immunity.
People need to see that and start going here.
Does immunity work?
That's
Yeah.
not even a fair game.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not a fair game.
Why do people play with these guys?
Yo, it's
Why don't you say, yo, you're a squirrel, but yo, because you squirrels collect nuts and stuff, you guys can rule us. And don't worry. We'll make sure you guys get plenty of walnuts and stuff like that. I don't get it, man.
psychological warfare.
I don't get it, man.
Psychological warfare.
Listen to your mom, listen to your dad, listen to your parents, yeah.
But Jamal said a good thing. He said nation. He didn't say group. And they can hold
Yeah,
that.
they keep calling it on
that.
there. Yeah, they keep calling it.
He said my nation against your nation.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the treaty right there.
Mhm.
So that's kind of heavy on them. So I'm
Yeah.
saying they're getting something heavy that they can't bear it. You know what I'm saying? They know something's coming. That's bigger than a group.
11 hours we're trying to figure out what to do next. And they can't.
Yeah, they know something heavy coming. That's no script.
Is there,
Let's do red.
is there a date set or?
No, they got Tuesday.
Aries up there? Jamal's in Aries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the Tuesday, okay.
But even though they talk about Tuesday, and wherever they say it, they're gonna take it from where they put the guns, take the guns, and they're gonna count how much guns, and they're gonna investigate from there. They're not saying what they're saying on the news. They're saying on Tuesday when we're gonna start investigating from there. We investigate what? Are we talking about how much
Camping.
Yeah.
Investigate camping.
So you can see that there's something there that they're really careful.
Because they already flooded the vehicles and stuff. Nothing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
stop this.
When you hear they found the letter of the plan that they were gonna go through Maine and then go to Washington D.C.
Oh, yeah.
When the letter comes out, you better know that it's a psyop.
Guess who will be signed by it? Nobody. Stop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. The more that the same thing that you're saying, the more that they're talking, you realize that there's an agenda to try to put out a message, to put out a perspective, to inset people's minds with thoughts about things that your mind shouldn't even be going to these places. You know what I mean? Just like you're saying, nobody ever said, well, police have long guns, they got shotguns and stuff like that. There's no issue with that? Oh, well, they're trained to do that. Okay, well, These people are trained.
What's up? I don't understand. People just, yo.
Yeah, but a gun is only made for one thing, to kill.
Correct.
That's all it's made for. It's not made for nothing else.
I agree.
It's only made to kill. It's not practice. It's made to kill. That's what it is.
No one has.
So everybody knows it. Everybody knows what
walking
it
around with them that, you know, that are doing what they're doing. Just stop and engaging with people that are filling up your vehicle or conveyance, trying to go. And I thought about that one too, because I was like, you don't see police policy enforcer vehicles, they have their own pumps. You never see no policy enforcer vehicle at a gas station.
At a gas station.
You never see no army military truck pump. Like, so, come on, what's up? You're doing
I
what's
seen one time during a live chasing me around a gas station. You have to stop quick at a regular gas station to pump up.
Well, here's the they have all this. Why would they stop at the public spot to let them shock the public? Is that?
No, because that's part of the gas.
That's a federal law that they have, right?
Something like that.
Okay, so
That's what
it's
you
following
see that.
code.
Yeah. Because imagine they pulled into like a Husky or a Petrol.
Oh, what did they?
That they're causing alert, public alert, to avoid public alert. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, but then again too, like, okay, so let's just say that goes down. They pulled up at the Husky. I don't think it's gonna be.
You gotta send an unmarked guy out to fill it.
Yes, okay. That's a long guns, send it yourself.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because it's separate. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's separate.
Yeah.
We don't see that stuff. You see them rolling, but you don't see them stop. Feel nothing. You're not engaged. You're not engaged.
Stop this up in the coffee shop.
Right? But there's agencies that engage, and I don't understand that part right now. So that's just my opinion.
Even in the looking at the two sides engaging each other, right? The stop, they're putting in gas, and then he's showing up. Now, if there's the big question mark, if there's probable cause, I can see doing whatever it is that you think you have to do.
Probable cause for putting gas in? Yeah, gas tank's low.
All right, cool, right?
Okay.
So, all right, so that should be that should be end of the conversation.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything else after that. There's no expired plates or nothing like that. None of that.
Nothing.
There's nothing like that. There's not even reason to ask for identification or anything like that.
I'm just bored, just checking. Are you good? It's lonely night. Yeah, 4th of July. All right, have a good time. Something like that,
That's it.
right? Come on.
That's it.
They're gonna have a long.
That's
the foolishness behind this.
so you need probable cause to engage, or you can just engage without that, or you need probable cause to continue engagement.
Well, there has to be, in Massachusetts, there has to be probable cause, and then there's there has to be a warrant. There has to be some type of situation that there's reason to stop and whatever, and something else. But what was that again? Let me see if I find it quick fast. Criminal Procedure Rule 3.1. And this is for Massachusetts. No person shall be held in custody for more than 24 hours following an arrest, absent exigent circumstances, unless a warrant or other judicial process authorizes the person's detention. A complaint has been authorized under Rule 3G, or a determination of probable cause of detention has been made pursuant to subsection. So with failure to identify not being a crime, there has to be something else. You can't say you just.
The thing, the arms license.
Right, this is why they brought up the license for the armies. Because they can't really do the license with them because they're out there talking about Morocco and got Moroccan flag. Obviously, they probably don't have the license, right? But do they have the license, right? So they could slide in on that. They can slide in on the state law, being that if you're on the highway, you can't have your arm out or whatever, right? Because they're in that state or passing through that state or whatever. But the initial interaction didn't warrant 11 hours on the highway. And that the whole time he was on the phone with the lieutenant. And they weren't having no conversation like talk him down, this is a stand down, and there wasn't any conversation like that.
And the news reported, 11 men apprehended or whatever in custody. In custody, because I'm not in custody.
Yeah. How about not arrested? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But after the news reported that, I'm hearing brother on a live.
You're in custody.
Well, he wasn't in custody if he's on a live. So they.
Oh, while they were saying custody, he was still going.
I'm watching. I got Android watching. Stations all over the world. Right?
Yeah.
Good luck.
They pulled up.
Like this, but it looked like it was a show. The Siri was a city. I don't know.
Yeah. The city was a city. I don't know where they pulled them from. Yeah.
They look at this old footage and you're just because they didn't let them in the vicinity to even get like where you zooming in on what. That's not the highway. That was the highway shot there.
Yeah.
When they said that the 11 guys in custody, brother was on the line.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So and I'm watching this, experiencing this in real time. I'm convinced
That was like when they said
real beyond real. I don't know what people need to see.
that was like with 9/11 when they said the building, the seventh building, and then the buildings behind the dude while he's doing the freaking report at the building.
And then the next one dropped out.
And then the one.
Well, 7, 5.
That's 5. Wrong button. Wrong button.
That was, if I dropped my own building and made people cry in pandemic.
And that's also too.
Somewhere else.
I was looking up Standoff, and then Standoff led to something being a draw. Right? The two sides are equal. And how come they kept pushing this thing as a standoff when he has the lieutenant on the phone? And then if he has the lieutenant on the phone, why are they talking about hostage negotiations? They're talking about hostage. Yeah. They said that when I said the hostage, I was like, hostage negotiations? I was like, what is going on right now? Was it this one here? Wait a minute, let me see if it's on this thing. Yeah, hostage negotiation team. He's talking to the hostage. Like, what?
Organizations that have snipers into SWAT was there.
A list of these organizations that have these cyber comments. We should have a list.
I want to see a future where we don't have to talk about racial inequity.
It's the kind of change that's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about what their forum is and what their ideology is. I think they've been pretty vocal on social media about who they are and what they espouse. I'm not going to propagate that, I'll let that. They can define that for themselves.
What were they saying to you during the negotiations?
to me specifically, they wanted a voice. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be a variety of not demands but requests that they just be allowed to leave the area, transit the area without any accountability. And at the end of the day, we couldn't accommodate that.
No, the not accommodating that is as easy as this guy, whoever else, crossing the barricade or whatever, walking out there. How you guys doing? What's going on or whatever? Yeah, well, we're just going to camp. What you got? Oh, you got that? You got that? You got that? Licenses or something like that? Okay, nothing? Okay, well, we're going to have to go over there and talk, or it doesn't have to be a event. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be event, because you already know you're not dealing with the typical Negro black guy. You're not dealing with some sovereign citizen, because they already said they're not that. They already said they're not black identity extremists. They already said that they're not anti-government. They already said that they're not all these things that is going to have them raise red flags and make it be some panic situation. So if they're not these things, so then there's no threat. So, okay, so if there's no threat, then what's the issue here? What's the problem, right? And it goes back to the same thing that with the standoff, that it's a stalemate. Nobody can't move. It's no different than certain situations where, or even using them for example, they go to court, challenge jurisdiction, and then the court adjourns and just sets up another date. And then you go to that date, they challenge jurisdiction, and then they adjourn and set another date. And then they keep adjourning and keep setting up new dates instead of just dismissing it, because it's a stalemate, because it's a standoff and no side is backing down. The difference is that they have the power to starve you out, like what they did with them, have them out there 11 hours, can't do anything, you know what I mean? I'm sure if you go in the bush and pee, they find a reason to give you 50 years or whatever. Right? Food's running out, water's running out. You already been out there for 11 hours, right? In the rain and all that, right? They already know that they have the upper hand, because they can just have people in shifts coming for the next 3 days. Guys get to go home and sleep, come back. These man's out there on one knee before they, so they have their side more organized. They're able to use their mechanisms better, opposed to these quote unquote 11 individuals, right? Which again, if the situation is life and death and whatever, why are you setting up perimeter? Why can't people leave their house? Why is it whatever? Because all that stuff is even Juali's prophecy that they're going to be in the streets, soldiers and all that stuff standing in the street, right? You're going to know when the 7 bridges pass the highway. Even Juali telling Moors take this to the hedges and the highways, and those Moors were literally on the highway. They were on the highway and the hedges were right there, right over there past that barrier. Right? So, so there can't be the side of us being where we're supposed to be till we're organized like that. Right? We're getting by with our activity, but the way they're active is where it's supposed to be at. Right? Because we have to be, like Key was saying earlier, we have to be for the rights, regardless what they are.
Yeah.
Regardless what they are. Using it, not using it, kinda using it, doesn't matter. We have to be for the right. Because if you don't have one right, then you probably don't have any of them.
You have to be willing to die
Right?
for these rights.
Because they're God given. You die for anything else that you were born with.
But something come up from the Quran where it says the soldier will only know his strength when he's when he's in front of the force. So those 11 hours, and then Jamal noticed that the other side was putting in he's trying to engage them to make them make a mistake. So he's basically putting in a bullet in the chamber. Right? So if you're fatigued or you're under kind of pressure, you might make a mistake. So you're hoping for them to make a mistake. So they came up under the pressure. And they knew that they stood strong on that. Know what these are trying to do. They're trying to do everything to make them make a mistake. So they can fire first, right?
But we were able to work with them and we could accommodate anything that would lead to a successful resolution to the issue.
These are people that think that they didn't do anything wrong, not that the charges, make it a little clear, keep them from even what these people could have been doing wrong, why is such an issue on the highway, why this is not allowed.
So ultimately, the charges, the state police investigators will work very closely with DA Ryan's office, and the appropriate charges will be brought forward in court. But basically, I think, from just a common sense, without really an understanding of Massachusetts arms law, which supports the actions that we took today, you can imagine 11 armed individuals standing with long guns slung on an interstate highway at 2 a.m. certainly raises concerns, and it's not consistent with the firearms laws that we have here in Massachusetts. I understand that they have a different perspective on that. I appreciate that perspective. I disagree with that perspective at the end of the day, but I recognize that it's theirs.
If they have their gun licenses on them, it's just that they did not, will they have allowed to continue through, or would they still have stopped?
Massachusetts, they did not have a gun on them, first of all. Massachusetts does not allow the carrying of a loaded or unloaded firearm on an interstate highway such as this.
It's not just happenstance. They were just traveling through Massachusetts, and their troopers just happened upon them. And there was anything sinister behind what they're planning to do, and there's a lot of firearms to do.
I think we'll know at the end of the day, at the end of the investigation, I should say, was this something that was staged to draw the attention of the state police, or were they in fact just traveling? We don't know at this early stage of the investigation.
Make it make sense. They were just traveling, but they're supposed to have licenses.
Yeah. You already said, how could they stage when they're just going camping?
Yeah.
How am I staging something on one camping? So they stage. Somebody leak.
Yeah. When I saw them bring out the trucks to block the street, I was like, oh yeah, these mans are freaking hype. They're hype. They want this thing to look good, yo.
You're going to Jamal be part of the whole thing on certain level too, or that group down there to try and just create sort of discourse and sort of, as I said, bring it to the focus that somehow we're involved in arms.
So go again.
I'm just saying, couldn't some of, like we've seen certain groups that are there to sort of stir the pot. So could this not be some form of that? Not saying that these people are purposely doing it, from the perspective of bringing that kind of attention onto us.
No, I mean if they've been doing that for 3 years, like it's kind of there's a discrepancy there, because if it was like that, then they've had situations, for example, where they're gonna go train, they call the head of wherever it is that they're going, and they let them know. They just put them on notice. Hey, we're about to go over here. You might see some individuals with arms or whatever, and that's just us. We're just training.
And they do that
And
so the
highwaymen.
public don't call
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a bunch of guys.
Highwaymen will tell them, "Oh yeah, no problem." All right, you know. Now again, that's in their jurisdiction. Which going in a different jurisdiction, it might be a different thing. You know, a different. It'll be a different thing. So, I don't know. So,
This is good, I like this. All right.
you know. Any questions or comments? Any other thoughts? Just want to get some of the. And again, look at look at it from the perspective that the people who are presenting whatever it is that they're presenting, they have their narrative that they're going to put out. They have their way that they're going to spin it. And the fact that they had enough intelligence to go live while the thing was going on messed that up a lot.
They're gonna spin now?
Messed that thing up a lot. Like they had to play catch up with what was going on. Because this actually, yeah, let's just play what they had put on.
They probably upset that they're dealing with one of their own. But remember, they probably saying that's what they always say.
We are on Interstate 95, Massachusetts, near exit 57, mile marker 57.4. They specified in the news that we're anti-government, but we're not. We're not anti-government. We're not anti-police. We're not sovereign citizens. We're not black identity extremists. As specified multiple times to the police that we're abiding by the peaceful journey laws of the United States, federal courts. So just look up Title 18 of the United States Code, subsection 926 alpha or 925 alpha, if I'm not mistaken, as well as the decision of the United States Supreme Court, Young versus Harris, which specifies that merely carrying an arm, or it says, being in the possession of a gun per se constitutes no offense. So we haven't violated any laws. The police seen us on the side of the road with our guns secured. We were afraid, so we got out with our arms, and I have body camera that's been recording the whole time. Excuse me. Reassured them multiple times that we're abiding by the federal laws as well as the judicial opinions of the United States Supreme Court and things like that. But they keep portraying us as being anti-government, but we're not anti-government at all. Also, please share this video out. Again, this is, we're near Wakefield, Massachusetts, going north on I95, near exit 57. So that's basically it.
So one of the main themes is that we're not all the little tags that they like to try to put on Moors. When stuff goes down, stuff gets crazy, and then they try to talk about, oh, you're exercising some sovereignty, or are you a sovereign citizen? Or I heard about sovereign citizens when you're talking about your nationality. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. I don't care if they capitalize it. I don't care if they say it kind and soft and gently for you. Don't let them do it.
What was that?
Call you sovereign citizen.
Oh no.
Yeah. And again, this is stuff like, this is stuff.
Let them free my
Yeah. This is stuff, years now. You know what I mean? We've been putting that out like that. We're not sovereign citizens. Don't even try to put us under that. And this is also proof that they're still trying to do that. You know. And again, the intelligence to be able to set up their own narrative messed up their stuff crazy. Messed up their stuff crazy. Because the only place that they can go once the arms comes up, the only place they can go is sovereign citizen. And then if they go sovereign citizen, that's going into, you know, I mean, shootouts on the highway with police and Waco, Texas, and all types of stuff that has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? It's just all part of the propaganda campaign, you know, to make sure that the people's perspective of what they think they're looking at is a reality when people are lying, straight lying. You know? And again, it's not them. You know, it's not the colonists. It's like what you're saying. How come there weren't 200 Moors out there? Well, because a lot of these Moors want to be black. You know, these people want to be package sellers and want to do everything else except, you know, what should be done. You know, this is and like we're saying too, if this few good bit of Moors said that this thing made people they've been telling about Moors link them like, hey.
Watching Boston Live.
I'm watching. Are these your boys? I'm watching your boys right now on CNN. What is going on? Keep watching. Get your popcorn. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Movie time.
Yeah, movie time. You know? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could, you know, it could sway into some negative thing, but these media whoever's know that majority of the public's dumb. And because majority of the public's dumb, they can put out whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay, they said that. It's okay.
They okay, it's okay. You know? And then the issue with that is that when you talk about the same stuff, psychological warfare and economic warfare and certain activity that people are gonna partake in to stop things and whatever, and it always seems to be this anti-government themed thing. No, all that stuff is King Alfred plan too. And if you're talking about King Alfred plan, now you're talking about executive order that you're going to be dumb. It's where our duty is to make sure that we, you know, draft people so that they can do the criminal work that we can't do, which is go in other people's country, murder everybody so we can take their stuff. Right? And also too, how is it that he's a Marine, which means he did his duty and all that stuff? Isn't there supposed to be a pass or something for them? Because isn't that how that happens in every other time? Right? Isn't those people they call up first, all the people who did their service or whatever, they get to go on the plane for first class?
Yeah, I was part of platoon 53. Where are you? Dog pile 72.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
For who? You name drop, boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But you already know.
Yeah.
Right?
They have their stuff that they're doing. Yeah. They're gonna do their thing. They're gonna do their thing.
Exactly. It's like someone realized, like, yo, all those marbles are mine.
Nobody ever told it.
So what's gonna happen after you realize all the whole time you've been playing with those 1,000 marbles? That, yo, let me use the steely guy. Yo, beg you one more because I just got. Alright, and you realize all of them are yours.
Hey.
What's gonna happen? Right? Because now he's saying, who did you think they were?
Hey.
You know what I mean? What was that guy saying? It's like, he's not gonna let you take all the 3,000 marbles back like that. So that's what it is now.
Manipulation techniques, chanting. There are parts of your brain dedicated to analytical thinking. One way to stop this process is to distract the mind with a repetitive phrase. The idea is to shut down any nagging thoughts that will make you doubt the message you are being bombarded with. During recent political conventions, the audience is encouraged to fill the gaps between speakers with repetitive chants. This stops the audience from having the chance to analyze exactly what the speaker has just said. Planting the seed. When you scan the internet for news or stories, you will be familiar with short, punchy headlines that tell you all you need to know. The people funding these stories have realized that very few people read the stories and are more likely to skim the headlines. They exploit this fact by planting keywords in the headlines that will manipulate your ideas. Okay, so let's look at this then. So this is,
Keywords.
Yeah, this is, right, so WCVB, this is one of their articles. 11 arrested as standoff involving group of armed men in I95 in Massachusetts comes to an end.
So everyone's like,
Right? People who live near scene of Interstate 95 standoff relieved by peaceful resolution.
telling you how you felt.
They were going camping.
Oh, you don't get it. They say something like exposure, and then they tell you how everyone felt. Everyone was relieved.
Our men,
So you're relieved too now. Yeah, okay.
our men identifying as Moors involved in hours-long standoff with police. 9 people in custody after hours-long armed standoff on I-95. 11 men charged after armed standoff that shut down parts of I-95. Group of men involved in hours-long highway standoff. Moorish American group I-95 standoff. Massachusetts I-95 standoff. Massachusetts State Police identifies militia members arrested after standoff. So we know I-95 standoff, armed, right, keywords, Moorish, militia, hours long. For instance, if the opponents of a certain senator wish to denigrate his character, they can plant a headline that has come from an anonymous source. Senator White cheating on his wife for a decade, for example. It is irrelevant that the statement is merely a question. The seed has been planted. Even if the following headlines appear, it will still have the same outcome. Senator White denies affair. The wife of Senator White confirms rumors of affair are false. If you are asked if you know who Senator White is, you will probably answer, the guy who had an affair for 10 years. Repetition and ridicule fallacy. If you hear something enough times, you will believe it. No matter how ridiculous, if you are presented with facts in a certain way, You are hardwired to believe them. This is known as the appeal to ridicule fallacy. Mocking an idea makes it less relevant. If you associate an idea, a person, or behavior with ridicule and shame, you will dismiss it. Alternatively, if a ridiculous idea is given gravitas and treated with reverence, it will seem more viable. Repetition is a powerful tool, and when teamed with a shaming technique, it can be effective. Limiting choices to black and white options. When we are put under stress, our brains revert to the fight or flight mode. This is a classic example of having only a black or white choice. When confronted with just two options, we will happily abandon our critical thinking circuitry and make a right or wrong move. How many times have you seen arguments along these lines? Do we fight terrorists, or do we roll over and die like cowards? Shall we all get loaded and go to a club? Or are you a boring killjoy who doesn't know how to have fun? You oppose the death penalty, so you believe we should just let murderers roam free and kill again? Using these types of non-arguments can trigger humans to shut down critical thinking, compelling them to take the bait, so to speak, like trained dogs. It isn't subtle, but it appeals to the primitive part of the mind.
Trained up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, psychological warfare.
You notice they were using ideology and nationality synonymously.
Yep.
Like interchangeably.
Yeah. Or calling them Moors and saying group.
Yeah. Or it's a new sect of this, like trying to date it like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's when if you get too engrossed in it, there's just so much criminality and color and craftiness and manipulation. There's so much going on that is not being perceived by the average eyes.
Another distraction.
They don't know. They think that this is normal. This is okay. They don't even know it's disturbing.
I get that, but I think people are choosing not to know that. That's how I feel now, in my opinion. It's not even like, okay, the truth's gonna find me, you're gonna find the truth. Like, it's that obvious. Head in the sand, you can still hear. It's I don't know, man.
But that's part of what we were talking about earlier, about before meeting started, we were talking about how the purpose of here, the purpose of what we're going through on the earth plane, and is it for here?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not for here. So the things that are going on here is really for wherever you're gonna go, whether it's individuals that you're engaging, whether it's experiences that you're having, you know what I mean? Everything is to prepare you for something about to happen next after this existence, because the idea of like you're saying, the level of incompetence that people have with regard to certain stuff, and they just stay in that position. You just stay there. That you really have, like you're saying in the book, you really have lost the ability to critically think, lost the ability to comprehend, to use your reasoning mind and just accept what is, then that's a zombie or whatever. It's like that's not a human being. That's not somebody real. Like reckon.
For me, it's I'm not gonna get it, but
Oh,
Right, sorry, but it seems like a lot of people are okay with the way things are. And I'm saying that by my opinion, that a lot of people, even though they don't know what the word means, acquiescing to a lot of things that have been happening just because they have been happening. And you probably had questions as a child, and you were told just listen to the teacher or da 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 da. You were probably correct as a child. It's not right. So the only people that are gonna fix not right is the people that know that something's not right. So it's up to those people to try and fix this, please.
correct. Yeah. So somebody was asking in the chat about them fleeing in the woods or whatever. Like that part of the narrative. So when Jamal was on the live, they were telling them they were already in the whatever woods or whatever they're talking about. They were already in there already. I don't know if they were in there from 1 a.m., but there was people who were in the woods already. And again, the whole idea of this is postseason. Preseason, they got their door kicked in by these people already. So, you know what I mean? They've been going to court to them, going to court with them, stuff getting adjourned all the time, phone ringing crazy times, stuff not working at the house, all types of stuff that would make you think that, you know, you might be under some type of surveillance or something. Something's going on because of our activity near Rhode Island. Something's going on, right? And they've never had anything concrete in order to push this idea that they're this criminal element, anti-government, whatever, because, you know, they do food drives, they you know what I mean, they're doing positive things in the community. There's nothing there. There's nothing to really use to try to create that the whole idea. But we know that their activity that they're doing in there brought some attention to them. And some of that attention was definitely negative from the other side. You know, like they were going over and beyond to, you know, either stress them out or scare them or, you know, something to have them on the heels, not standing firmly, you know. So yeah, like, you know, dude pulling up. I don't even think there was I think he just had the light. Initially he just had the light on, the high beam light. They just had the white light. There wasn't even like lights on. Lights came on after, you know. So it could have been, you know, a lot worse. But again, you know what I mean? When we ask the black guys, well, how come nobody got shot up and stuff like that? 11 hours, highway shut down. No, like, I mean, you know, every time a black guy has an interaction with these people, he dies. Black lady get kidnapped, found in her cell. You know. Right, and somebody was asking in the chat, how come Cujo doesn't bear arms? One, because I'm not getting a license ever for anything ever in my life again, because I know what license is and I don't want anything that has to do with a license. Secondly, when I was in high school, my brethren had a gun. And what I felt from the gun made me think that nobody's not going to play around if I have this thing right here, because stuff's getting pulled. And I didn't want that kind of power. So I never messed with guns after that. But I know that that's a right that people have to have that. You know what I mean? Even though I don't use them like that, and I don't go shoot or whatever, I know people have a right to bear arms. And it's something that you can't infringe on, whether it's not about I'm cool with guns or not cool with guns or whatever. Guns aren't where I'm at. I'll do bow and arrow or axe or some stuff like that if it's zombies. Give me a spear, right?
You shoot the zombies, they don't hear it.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's a mode of conveyance.
Yeah.
You don't need a license to walk into a foot.
Right. Yeah.
You don't need to commute. So if I want to walk or jog or ride my bike, but you want to travel in your conveyance, it's still a right.
It's still a right. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing of
You're a kung fu guy. You throw like weekends. We need a gun for it.
Yeah. If it's like that. You know what I'm saying? If it's like that, then certain things don't even apply. But it doesn't mean because, you know, of course, Rami. Of course, Rami.
I asked him, I'm like, yo, really?
like I have shame or something. He's not gonna say that he doesn't bear arms. Oh, I don't bear arms. I'll tell you that stuff. I don't even play with guns. Good try, Rami. Good try. Good try. I can tell you more who have arms, though. You know, I know more who have arms and back them 100 with their arms. You know?
I'm trying to get information. I'm halfway there. I took the castle off, but still there, you know?
Right. The point of the matter is these Moors did nothing wrong. Go ahead. Huh? Yeah. Yo. Yeah. Live in there.
Well, at least we know he's good at well. Yeah, he's safe. You can text him.
You can't use the phone. You can't use the phone, I'll tell you that. You can send emails early in the morning, though.
Hopefully the weather is beautiful by him like it is here.
Yeah.
Like how can you fight something that's not real or like, you know what I mean? If this wasn't true, what are these people talking about? What are they rebutting? What are they saying? Oh, it's this, so we got it like.
Yeah, it's all opinion. No, it's no proof of truth. It's all opinion. Whether you know, whether they're a coward and they don't want to have arms or whatever, you know what I mean? They could just be a coward, and opposed to allow people to exercise their right. You know, they want to try to stop people from doing stuff or whatever. When you can't do that, they want the right to be a troll and be a dumbass, but somebody can't have the right to bear arms. Like, how does that work? You have a right to be up in here, leaving comments and saying all this madness about Moors or domestic terrorists. You have a right to free speech. which we let you talk about whatever you want to talk about. You know what I mean? But as soon as arms come up now, oh no, you can't do that. What do you mean? How come you're not worried about any other rights that people got? You know?
Question is, why do they want to take that away from you?
Why do you want to take away your right to bear arms? Maybe because they're coming to steal your stuff. You know what I mean? Why they license you like that? Yeah. You know? And that's why you can't make the criminal argument, because if somebody's standing up for the Constitution, they're probably not a criminal. More likely, they're not a criminal if they're standing up for constitutional rights. It's hard to think that somebody who's because if they stand up for constitutional rights, then they're probably gonna stand up for treaty rights. And if they stand up for treaty rights, they're probably gonna stand up for natural rights. And if they stand up for natural rights, more than likely, they're gonna stand up for universal rights. And that's not a bad individual if they're gonna go that far with rights, to stand for them, not just talk about it or whatever, but to stand up for the right. Because if they stand up for the right and you're not, at least your right exists for when you're ready to stand. And you should give them honors just for that. Just for them saying, you know what? I'm too much of a coward to go stand up for my right to bear arms or whatever. But since they did and they're Moors, well, we'll give you your wiserhood or something. We'll give you even if you don't want to, force yourself. Force yourself to say, you know what? That was actually all right when I think about it. Like, that was actually all right. The Moors name is out there. You know, the Moors name went on international platform. People who told you Moors is some whatever, calling you to tell you, hey, hey, are you watching this right now? Yeah, I am. Are you?
So the sun isn't just lack of darkness during the daytime? I said, so the sun isn't just lack of darkness during the daytime? There is something called this?
Like,
it's hard to be kind of.
The stick is what's not real, but
yeah.
Eat it, and something's in our brains that know it's there. Remember that Matrix?
I know it's not real.
I know it's not real, but
I would choose this every day.
choose this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The chains on their hands and more on their minds. That's just what it is.
Right. And again,
News that the treaty not exist, never existed. So from that, I was like, yeah, I gotta do something else now.
Yeah.
That was it for me.
Yeah. But again, then that's their.
No, I know, but I was, but from mine, I'm like, oh, this, like it was what it was, right? But I think that was part of I had enough yesterday. I had it on my tool, my screen, that channel.
Yeah.
When that guy they said he's a specialist, security specialist, spit doctor, more like it.
Yeah.
I just lied, just straight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So people can't figure that out from there, and it's like this whole research yesterday. When you just research what was said yesterday, and everything was said yesterday. Yeah,
everything was said.
From both sides.
Anything after yesterday is all fraud. Don't listen to it.
Yeah. See?
If you didn't get the two sides yesterday, from what 1 a.m.
When they said 7 people in custody, 11 people in custody. From that point.
Yeah. 11 people in custody is the line. Yeah. 11 people in custody is the line. Anything after that.
What you say was cold as rain.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, yo, talk to this guy. And boom, he went and did something.
Yeah.
And that was after they said that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only 4 minutes difference.
Fake news like Donald Trump says.
Fake news like
Where's Trump?
They shut down all the social media, right?
Yeah, and that's
talking to people. No, this. They shut that down.
Yeah.
And then give the 1-2 narrative from, you see the microphone, you can see who, that same thing that you just played, there's microphones at the bottom of the channels.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a setup
Yeah.
thing, man.
Yeah.
It's a setup thing. People can't, we're just about to go live. Like the studio, the little newsrooms, a buzz, blah, blah, blah. Like, live, we got going live with.
Yeah. And if you think that going camping is renegade stuff, if you think camping is some anti-government thing and camping is some oh my gosh, shut the highway down, you got mental problems.
Build the fire into the bush and
Yeah.
trouble these deer.
Yeah, you got mental problems, like for real mental problems, because it doesn't even make sense at a certain point. Just like you said, the line is yesterday, 11 people in custody. Anything else you hear, and even up to that, you're questioning certain things. Certain things you have to be questioning. So you could probably even say from the time they cut off their stuff as the line. Once their IG got shut off, that was it. That was it.
So watch this one. I know some people have issues with, I'm not on this stuff, so I don't have no pages and stuff. So obviously there has to be a phone call made to someone to say, yo, can shut down this page, yo. No?
So
YouTube has a person that answers the phone.
Yeah.
Look, no one here knows that phone number.
Yeah.
IG has someone that answers the phone and email that shuts down the page.
Yeah. That's a question. Who's
Everyone can see how long it takes.
Who's the shutdown person?
Because it's like, we know, we're waiting for them to shut it down. We can't do nothing to that shut it down.
Yeah.
It's live right now. We can't do nothing.
Yeah. And and them making that call to whoever to shut it down, right? But he's talking to the guy who set up shut the street down, and they can't get that lifted. And he's on the phone with the guy who said, bring the cars over, shut this down, shut down that side over there. But they can make their little call to whoever and shut down his stuff in 2 seconds. Like, what would they say? Like, do they just have to, I guess it's just once they have their little contract with them that when we call you to shut.
Words that they could use.
Alleged that. There'll be something.
Holding this, it's doing this.
That'll be crazy who they call. Like, who do they call? You know what I mean? And then if all these different things have this individual that they could just call, you know what I mean?
You think it's more than one? It could be just one person. I think it's
just one for all the different.
Yeah.
For all the different things.
How many of those platforms are owned by them?
Yeah, by one.
Facebook owns WhatsApp and Instagram.
Right, like,
so they could have one of the parties.
I'm not saying that it's trying to censor your rights, freedom of speech. So
that's basically their grounds for operating now. All those social media things is to be in compliance with the new legislation they're rolling out. So it's either you play ball or you're not. Shut down this shit. That's what they do. So that was done. So you guys think those guys are on your side? They could get too, because that shows you what side they chose. They could let the truth just sweat. Why not let the thing just stream slide? You let all the other nonsense streams and all that kind of stuff come out because we come and all that. Okay.
All those polls. They stream all day.
Yeah. So, come on.
They're all day. Any other comments and questions before we close out?
You still have ears. Sorry. Just saying, even if your head's in the sand, you still have ears. You can still hear. You can feel the vibrations going on around you. Yeah. You don't have to see a battle or a war going on to know what's going on.
Very good. No questions, comments? So Saturday's our seventh annual, sixth or seventh, seventh. Our annual barbecue, our cookout. So the seventh, yeah, Moors get together once a year and be able to chill without having any worries. So we'll be at Morningside Park, 12 to 5.
Is that the same park went to last time?
No, we go there for no, we never went there for anything. Morningside and Ellesmere.
We did also want to just bring up Montreal, which is August 5th to 8th, and that's just people. Morning, I know Kudu, you didn't want to bring up.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just, at this point, it's a month away, so, we're doing, I think Kudu has nurtured some, connections down there. I don't know what the brother's name is. Is he the one who you say does a radio program?
He has brother Taino, who does the Galactic talks. Yeah, so they're out there. They're on near Montreal.
Down there, we're also going to be
Right, Montreal?
Hmm?
I thought those guys were in the UK or something.
Yeah, no, Montreal. Or Ottawa, Montreal. No? Oh, when from the first?
And just, we'll also be doing we're going on the Thursday, on the Friday, we're going to be doing a ritual, symbolic ritual to sort of reclaim sort of some of our land down there. So sort of something that Morse Culture Club wants to start to have an annual sort of pilgrimage to get there and sort of symbolically reclaim certain of our areas, as well as sort of do the works and connect with those Moors down there. So that's August 5th to 8th. We'll be canvassing people in the next couple of weeks to see who's planning to attend, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and the 17th, our
Children's Play Day,
first annual play day for the children.
which will be inclusive of a set of games or tasks. We're going to have a warm-up or training session in the morning, and then we'll have the event in the afternoon. We'll be providing food, lunch for the little ones on that day. And hoping to sort of help try to, sort of have some stuff that's focused primarily on the offspring, stuff to keep them out there and keeping them connected with each other.
Also, we're looking for if any volunteers, you can just call me or email or whatever. We could talk after this. Anybody who wants to help out with that. We're going to be going from 10 a.m. to probably about 4. So pretty much the volunteers are just for the different events, just having people, adults stationed at the different events. So we could, support the young people in having a good play day, a good event. Other than that, that's about it. Islam. So on the Moors. You ready back there? Darkers. Watch my youth now. Easy. Easy.
Allah, Father, universe.
Allah, Father, universe.
Father of love.
Father of
love.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
And justice.
Allah, my protector.
Allah, my protector.
My guide.
And
my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Holy prophet.
Holy prophet. Mutuality. Islam. Thanks, Mark. You guys clean up downstairs? You guys clean up your mess, huh? Any old mess down there, man.
Yeah, I know, let's cover that issue.
Islam, Morris.
Yeah, the problem is that there's a period of time, unless I'm completely crazy, with.
Islam, Morris, peace and love. FOH to all the traders and the thumbs downers. Thanks for the thumbs down. We appreciate you too.
So what we see.